Right, getting ready to do some propagation here. Just pulled these back. They've been off in the side in the shade. And I just thought before I set them back into the recycle bin, I would share the difference, because if you've been watching the channel and watching the Reboot Agriculture series, that playlist, I've been showing how the plants are growing on the farm. Off the hook and in desperate need of. They're the same tomato plants from the same seedlings, and the empty slots that you see in these planters are the seedlings that went out on the farm. So huge difference. Again, just pointing out how much, if we pay attention to it, observe it, environment dictates gene expression. I mean, we have tomatoes that have not even begun to set any flowers. They have no size or robustness. It's because of the environment they're in. It's the same seeds in the same soil. Right, I'll just give you a clip of these as they're going back into the bin to be recycled. I know there's probably lots of people out there that'll be heartbroken. I can't believe you throw those out, blah, 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 blah. I'll share a clip of the tomatoes on the farm, and you'll see why I'm willing to sacrifice these, no problem. And if you follow back in the season and you go back to growing quality tomatoes and any other plant start I do, you'll find that I try to overplant and then pick the best of the best. And that gives me a higher percentage of really quality genetics right from the start. And then we have a better total quality genetic group. So these are going back into recycle with another bin over here that with some recycled mix from another plant that was in there. I forget what it was. And it's been hit with some rejuvenate, so it's cooking down. And these are going to go in to be digested down. And maybe we'll keep an eye on these so you can see how fast the rejuvenate takes down material back to soil. Well, I just figured I'd share. I'm defrosting a steak I had in the freezer. Looked like a nice one when I bought it. I think it is a nice one. And I just chopped a whole bunch of fresh rosemary and thyme and holy basil, also known as tulsi, over it. And also some crushed red pepper. And I'm just going to flip it back and forth and get it covered in that. I'm going to wrap the pan with a bag, and just let it slow thaw and warm up. And then later this evening, after it's sort of steeped in that, I'll cook it over a fire. A mix of hickory and cherry, and it will be delicious. Right? I've got a steak that's been marinating. I put a little balsamic vinegar on it as well to help it just pull in the juices and soften up a bit. Should be really, really good. This has been marinating like this for, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. We got a nice hot coal base. There you go. Does look nice, so you can see. We'll go slice it up. So there you go. I'm going to eat. Cheers. Well, I figured we'd take a look at plants and buckwheat germination and all that. Let's take a walk up the rows here. I was running myself very hard this year, and so at the end of this week I opted to just take some rest time this weekend and recoup a bit on my energy and my health and fuel up on healthy foods and rest. And I can feel that I'm still resting and recovering, actually, so it's good that I took that break. And I should be up here doing tomato steaks, but you know, I'm just going to let myself rest and recuperate. Plant sap sample tests have not arrived yet, so I'm hoping that they'll be here tomorrow in time that I can take the test and get it off by tomorrow afternoon, so it could be there for Tuesday morning to ship out to the Netherlands, yada yada. We'll see how all that timing works out. I might not get to ship that test until Thursday afternoon to catch it Friday morning to go to the Netherlands, which means I won't have plant sap results back till the week following that. But as soon as I can get the plant sap test done, I can get back up here and do a foliar feed. Of course, now I'm having brake issues with the car, so, you know, the hits keep coming. But we're just going to roll through it with no brakes if necessary. because that's how we roll. Anyway, these plants are looking fantastic, growing well. It's definitely getting a little dry again here. But given that, let's just have a look-see at our soil here. And like we go down an inch or two, we're still showing some pretty nice soil moisture in there. So that's good to see. And we have rain forecasted for this week, several days. They're saying like scattered thunderstorms, showers on and off, so I don't know how much that's going to be actual accumulation or provide an actual real rain value. But we'll see what it does. And either way, it'll take some of the sun load off as far as transpiration. And that should help reduce transpiration and evaporation and keep us in a reasonably moist range. I can see these plants would like a little water. It's visibly obvious to me from growing so many plants. And we see like little leaf curl stuff kind of here. But overall, they're well. Now let's give you a shot of these tomatoes quick while we're here. They're off the hook and in desperate need of staking. And so some of our buckwheat cover crop is coming in, so that's good. And we'll check back on our plants here that had the Colorado potato bug. And wow, they have actually leafed back out. I believe those are the same plants. Yeah. So they leafed back out, and I imagine that those Colorado potato bug have finished their above ground cycle. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. That, my friends, is an adult Colorado potato bug. That's what they look like. I guess what I will do, given that I have not really gone into this year, and I know I did this in previous videos, but we'll go deep into it. I'll pull up the origin and the life cycle of the Colorado potato bug, and we'll go over it so you can understand where they come from and what their life cycle is, and then that way better understand how to beat this pest without chemicals, pesticides, etc. And so we're up at this upper end of the road now here too. We're probably a week and a half to 2 weeks out from that foliar feed that I was trying to target the Colorado potato bug with. And interestingly, the health of these plants has perked up dramatically since I did that foliar feed. So it looks to me like we are, despite the issues we have, getting our nutrition and our targeting of that nutrition in foliar feeds and the calcium sulfate and all that kind of stuff on point, and that our inoculants are taking their effect as well. Because even these potatoes, which were lagging behind the others and struggling before, are starting to set their flowers and do their thing. So that's nice. And you can see all the bird poop there on them. That's from the overhead power lines where all those birds were sitting here today. Try never to miss an opportunity to grab some fresh wild berries because they're delicious. These are wild blackberries. Okay, let's do a quick checkup here on the buckwheat. I really wish I had caught that a little before that rain we had. That rain really would have helped enhance the speed of the germination here. But it's growing in really nice. It's filling in pretty nice. It seems like we've got pretty uniform, even coverage overall. And in another week or so, that'll develop a nice thick canopy. And that'll help protect our soil as well as build our soil at the same time. So nice to see that growing in well. Guess we'll just do a quick checkup here on things. I really should have gotten back and watered the lemon verbena. That's really hurting. And I don't know if it's going to make it until the rain, whenever that actually comes. But it is what it is. I guess we lose it. I'll do some more propagation and grow some more out at home and in the lab. And on the tomatoes, we have tomatoes coming on. Whether we stake them or not, they're happening. So I guess we'll just take our quote-unquote losses as that goes for now. I'm just up here to grab that big white barrel for a coming project. Well, for washing potatoes, because when those potatoes come off, I'm gonna have a lot of potatoes to wash. So I gotta be ready for that. So that's also part of why my hiatus from further work up here for now is to prep for the harvest that's coming. So I can at least be prepared to capture and make the best of that and not lose that because I wasn't ready. And the holy basil is cranking, and wow, look at this. Look at the pollinator populations in here. We got honeybees. Look at this. And we have all kinds of wild pollinators in here as well. I'm going to spend some time around these and let you get a look at all the different pollinators that are in here and all the activity when you really zoom into this that's happening. And those honeybees are going right through and visiting. And I don't know if we can get one to stop working long enough to get a good look at her. There goes the moth. But if you look closely, you'll see when they're collecting this pollen that their sacs are very red, and that's because they're collecting just this pollen. And we'll just take a look at her quick. Okay, I got one here. She's incredibly mad that I've captured her. But look at, I'm going to let her go pretty quickly here. I don't want to tick her off for very long. But look at the color of the pollen sacs on her, coming off of that holy basil. When honeybees go out from the hive and start collecting from a flower, that honeybee visits exclusively that flower for the entire trip. And they bring back exclusively that pollen. And believe it or not, within the colony, the honeybees actually specifically separate each pollen variety as they're making honey. Each pollen and nectar variety, I should say. They're collecting pollen and nectar. In this case, they're probably collecting mostly nectar. But they actually use the pollen and nectar together to kind of adhere it to their honeybee sacs. And they bring it back to the hive and they actually keep it separate. And of course, we can't really ask a honeybee why they do that. But if you think about why we keep different flavors and different sources of things separate, because they're different things and we use them for different uses, my guess is they have different uses food-wise and rear and brood-wise and supporting the queen-wise and colony-wise for why they would sequester each nectar and pollen variety separately. There's a moth in here that keeps flying away, an orange moth, but every time I move toward him, he moves away. Again, I just really want to note the absolute variation and variety of different types of pollinators in here. And also that the majority of them are wild. There's a honeybee with nice red pollen sacs on her. Working her way through. So this is another reason that I love the holy basil so much. Because it's such a medicinal and powerful plant for human health and for animal health and for bee health and down the list. But also because it's such a great pollinator supporter, not just for the honeybees, and I gotta tell you, it makes a honey into an incredible honey. It's one of the most incredible flavored and diverse tasting honeys you can imagine. But also for the fact that it supports the native pollinators. So we're supporting all the pollinator species and not disrupting anything in the system. Again, we always want to be amplifying the system in every way and not go do something that negates the system with something simple. So, in the case of soil, you could do that with a pesticide or a fungicide. You could be using foliar feeds and building soils and doing all these things and then try to do one thing to stop a pest or a problem and mistakenly put a negative input in the system. And now you're holding the brakes down while you're pushing on the gas. And we all know what happens when you do that. You burn the machine up. So we'll just look back here as this is maturing as well. I see some maturing holy basil seed coming on here, and that means it's time to harvest some of this for seed soon. I'll probably give it another week or so and let these seed pods develop real good. And then I'll chop a bunch of these and put them in a bucket, let them dry, shake the seed out, and now we have a bunch of seed for next year and for later this year if we want, or to go back in the lab to share, so on and so forth. Behind it, the turmeric is still doing well here where the animals aren't getting to it and finding it. That's nice to see. And of course these tomatoes are just reaching their arms out everywhere. So that was cool. I'm glad we got to catch the pollinators there in the holy basil. And I hope you found this interesting or informative. Thanks for watching. The Pharmacist. Hazy, hazy, hazy. Yeah, don't those breaks sound great? Keep your friends close and your farmers closer. Cheers.